It's February 16th, 2025, and it's another episode of the Very Terrible Podcast. How you doing?
I'm good.
Laurie's back again. So Laurie had such a great time on the last episode that she did, and we had, we had 2 people watch and leave comments. So we're actually getting viewer and listener feedback, which is fantastic.
Well, we may have had more than 2 people watch.
Oh, yeah.
2 people.
You're right.
With responding to
Yes.
it. Yeah. And what did you say that I had what did you just say about me? I had so much fun?
Yes.
Okay. I wouldn't know if I'd call it fun yet, but I'm doing it. I'm trying
You're doing a great job.
I'm trying.
Well, I'm having fun, so I'm having enough fun for both of us.
I do it because you enjoy that I do this with you. So
Yes.
I'm going to do it a few times and see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more that you interact with us and the more that you send us messages and send us comments, the more likely she'll be to continue coming in.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of,
Yes.
I wanted to talk about how the podcast is when you watch it on YouTube, it has the video part, which
Yes.
you probably know that. But if anyone could leave comments there, because can you leave comments on Spotify?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, you can
All
leave
right,
comments
well.
on Spotify. You can leave comments on YouTube.
Okay.
And then on the YouTube, we have both the video of it'll be like us sitting here doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just the regular audio on YouTube, which just the RSS feed just makes it automatically.
Okay.
So I just let it do it. You
All
know,
right.
But that's how this whole thing got started. So it went back to YouTube. Well, one of the Josh from South Florida lift stations was watching it with just the audio feed, and that was not satisfactory. And he just came up. He said, "Listen, I'm going to sponsor the show. You're going to get Dave to come back on, and you're going to do this with cameras because I want to see everybody." And I said, "You're the boss, Applesauce.
yeah,
Here we
we'll
go."
try.
Yeah.
Or you'll try.
Hey.
I'm just here for a few episodes at this point.
Yeah. So that's how this all came to pass. But even though with the podcast, it's on on YouTube every episode has 2 versions.
I wanted to ask you, kind of on the spot, I suppose, now that I'm thinking about it, why did you want to start a podcast?
Right, because every middle-aged man has their own podcast. I started, so if you go back and listen to the first episode when we came back, which I think was actually called "And We're Back," was the title of the episode back when we first went back to Spotify. Mm-hmm. I went into a little bit in depth of how much I loved radio growing up, and I grew up on Howard Stern, and then I came down to
Not
Florida.
the actual show.
What's that?
You said you grew up on Howard Stern.
Well, yeah, no, not as a character on the show, no, as a listener of the show. But every day, I looked forward so much to going and listening to Howard and Robin and Baba Booey and Stuttering John and all of them, and you felt like you were part of the show. They did such a good job, and it really made my day go well. And that's kind of I just wanted to do that. And
that's how I feel when I watch, although it's migrated over the years. It used to be live with Regis and Kathy Lee,
Mm-hmm.
then Regis and Kelly, then Kelly and Michael, Kelly and Ryan.
yeah. Who was between them?
And Kelly and Mark is now.
There was
our
no,
husband.
all right, so there was no Kathy Lee and Kelly at the same time.
No,
Okay.
no.
Because obviously Regis has passed since then.
Mm-hmm. But I think I feel the way about that show that you feel about how
Okay.
the Howard Stern show.
So if this
it's just
takes
like
off-
something that you feel like, this is nice to you feel like you know them, I guess. Yeah.
Well, so if this takes off, we'll get you on a TV show.
And we'll see about that.
Mornings with Laurie. Yeah,
that's fine.
Laurie live. Live with Laurie. And then,
Jason.
yeah. Well, yeah. I do better. We're trying this thing with audio or video with me. I like the audio stuff. And that's how it came to pass, really. Listening to the radio. And then I came down to Orlando or to Florida, and I was able to listen to the Monsters out of Orlando. And then I migrated over to the Mike Calta show. As you can see, I'm wearing my Mike Calta show t-shirt today. And
No podcast shirt, obviously.
no, not today. Well, I wore
In the
one.
wash.
Yeah, I've got so many, right? So I looked at the last one I wore. I didn't want to wear the same one with us
Okay.
twice.
All right.
And then I wore one last night on what I did on my live show last night. And then I was like, I didn't want to wear the same one twice in a row. And then I thought you might wear one. I'm like, we can't match because if we match, it's a whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not one for matching clothing
Yeah.
ever.
So then I was like, okay, we're going to help plug the Mike Calta show on 102.5 The Bone. So Monday through Friday, 6 to 10,
Okay, so the reason that you want to start a
Oh,
podcast
is because I just always wanted to be on radio, and
Okay.
I don't have like a radio station around here I can get to. The closest radio station on a good day is like 20 minutes to a half an hour away over in Fort Myers. There's a radio station that's out in Pine Island, but it's run by one guy out of his house. That really doesn't count. Cape Coral doesn't have anything in it. So right now, just between...
Well, we have a lot in Cape Coral, but we don't have a radio
We don't have a radio station. We've
Okay.
got a lot of car washes and Dollar Generals, if you like those, and Publix. We got a lot of those, but we don't have a radio station. So right now, this is the only avenue I have to scratch that itch until 2 years from now when I can, until I can hang it up at the fire department and then commit to that, because it's hard. You only have so many hours in a day, and my priorities are, you, Bella, paying the bills, and then everything else. So by the time I get down to that, there's just not enough.
Maybe we can find like a class or a course to be, I don't know, how to do, not that you don't do a good job, but how to take your podcast to the next level.
Oh, there are, and that's what my feed is filled with right now. It's filled with these infomercials and people that are just selling products, and that's where I kind of feel like, are they just selling products?
Yeah.
That's where it's. I don't know.
I wish we knew someone who was successful, or that someone, even if we don't know them well, that did a podcast that became more successful would share how they did it.
Yeah.
So not someone famous who had the audience because they were famous to begin with. Like,
Right.
oh, I'm going to listen to them just because we know who they are. Like, I
Right.
sometimes listen to Kelly Ripa. That's
Mm-hmm.
no surprise there. I know the Kelsey brothers have one. Then there's lots of other famous people that do them. But we're not famous, so
Not yet.
we don't have the
Not famous
the crowd.
yet. It's about your mindset. You're not famous yet.
Yet.
Infamous and famous.
Okay. So what's on our list?
Oh, okay. So, well, happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there.
Yes.
Today is February 16th, so we're a couple days late. I was on duty at the firehouse for Valentine's Day, which happens, you'd be surprised. For only working 9 days a month, I'm gone most holidays. And
You were gone
Thanks-
or on duty. Hold
Thanks-
on. No, Thanksgiving,
Yep,
Christmas,
yep,
New Year's Eve,
correct,
Valentine's Day.
correct.
So all the
Yeah.
4 in a row you were working, which
Yes.
is okay. We knew that when you signed up
Yeah.
for your career,
Yeah.
but every single one.
And it's my shift too. So the funny part is I used to, by getting promoted and doing different jobs along the way, like I'm on A shift right now, but when I was on B shift, you only got 2 out of every 5 years you were on holidays. And now on A shift, it feels like you're on the other 3, and then C shift just seems to, I don't know if they skip most of them, but B and C don't do very many. A does the lion's share, and I have no idea why. I think it's just how it lines up on a calendar. But so needless to say, we had our Valentine's Day today. Ta-da, Cupid. And then I don't have a bow and arrow sound effect. Yeah. So, we spent our day today with, let's see, B went off with her friends to go do whatever she does during the day.
Volunteer.
Oh, she did. She volunteered. It was a chili
Yep.
cook-off.
Yep. She went and volunteered. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. And then we went out and had a nice romantic lunch, and then we went shopping. And
Your least favorite thing to
I
do.
got to tell you, men and women shop very differently, without a doubt. And I cannot, I watched you today as I watched you shop, and it was more like an active browsing than it was
Yes.
shop. I can't do it.
I know what I need to get, and then I'm looking for like, oh, what's new? What would I maybe want to have that I didn't even know I may want? So I'm looking around, and
That to me is like the opposite of what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You have an item, go get the item.
Yeah, but then I see things. I'm like, oh yeah, we need bread. Oh, look, we need those low carb tortilla shells. Like they weren't on my list, but once I'm in the store and I see it, I want to get it.
Yeah, that's not how I do it.
Yeah.
I just, I like speed run. I go in, I get what I need, I get the hell out because we
Yes,
got
you
other
do.
stuff to do. That is one of the things that men and women do very, very differently. But in visiting the stores today, we were able to kind of talk about and really fall witness to the constant battle of inflation and how much everything is costing. Really,
Especially the freaking eggs.
yes. The eggs thing is now, whether it be manufactured or whether it be real, the egg thing is just completely out of control. And the one thing I did notice, because this feels a lot like toilet paper. So in COVID, you had the toilet paper shortage, and everyone's going berserk and buying 70, 80 rolls of toilet paper at a time. So like a few people would have a lot and no one would have any. And like, but then the egg thing came around, and like, I don't know how, if you hear your friends talking about it, but the general consensus is, it's eggs. I'll just go without. And that's kind of the way even I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I eat eggs maybe more so lately, and not because the price went up. I've been eating bacon, egg, and cheese on toast, like some nights for dinner when you're at work. That's what I have for dinner.
So it's not like it's a marketing ploy, like, oh my God, the eggs are they taste that much better because they're rare. It's
no,
ostrich
not at all.
eggs.
Yeah, no, but why are they? I mean, I know they're expensive, but what's the shortage
The
here?
story is that there is a bird flu going around that is apparently killing the chickens, and then if less chickens equals less eggs.
So is the price of chicken going to go up too?
That's a great question. It should, right? Well, but
okay,
no, I think
this is gonna sound really...
that there's the chickens that lay eggs and the chickens that are the plate on your plate chickens are different chickens.
I was just going to say, and that was going to be my stupid question. The ones that are farmed for chicken breast and chicken thighs that we eat are not the same ones that are laying eggs.
No, I don't think so.
So but still, the chickens that, what do they say? Only the egg-laying ones get the bird flu, and the ones that...
I guess,
no,
right? But is it a communicable disease?
I don't know, but I would think if chickens are going to get sick, they're all going to get sick, not just certain...
Well, I guess you'd have to have a way for them to be like, they don't socialize, like they don't go to like a chicken club, and
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they don't go out.
Maybe someone can explain that to us.
If you know, comment on the video as to why they don't
Jessica Simpson, when she did the thing with on her show years ago, people made fun of her about the chicken of the sea and
that was her. Yeah. But I think that's kind of where the thing is coming from. Now, right now you can go into the grocery store and the shelves are full. The price is still high, but now there's a sign that says limit 2 or limit 3, depending on what store you go to. And well, we were at Sam's earlier and they have pallets of them. I mean, just pallets of eggs ready to go, limit 2 per customer. And then there's like the weird feel of, I can't. I think that's probably, that to me is what kind of flags it to me. It's kind of like the toilet paper was like, I have to have it, but I can't have it. And that's what makes me want it more.
Well, and with Easter right around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Normally people color eggs.
Yeah.
Or the kids do at least. So what's it going to be this year? Because the price of eggs, who's going to want to color them if they're, what was it, $6.99?
That was the cheap ones.
Yeah, the cheap ones. Yeah. I can't imagine most families doing that. Maybe it'll be potatoes.
Yeah. Well, and even in our household, we would hide eggs for B when she was little and all that stuff. We had the plastic shells and we'd put the money in it and you'd hide around and she'd go around and think she was Rockefeller for an afternoon as she's breaking open these little eggs. And then we'd have the bigger, fancier ones you'd actually put cash in.
Well, they all had money.
I
see what you're
saying. Change versus
coins
cash.
versus dollars. Yeah.
But oh my goodness. Yeah. And then when I was a kid, we had, and it was part of the Polish heritage, and I still don't really understand what it was, but they would roll eggs. Like there was a course that was in my grandmother's, she had like, I guess what I would consider a huge blacktop driveway that took up her whole front yard. And I have pictures when I was little, and we would roll like eggs down like ramps and they go somewhere. And I have no idea. I never did it right, apparently, because it didn't catch on, but everything we did with that part of the family had like some tie to the Polish heritage to it. So maybe had I done my research, I'd been able to talk more about it. But
I've never heard of such a thing.
No, actually,
sure that was a real thing.
Actually,
I know
if it wasn't 8:00 at night, I would actually call my mother right now, put her on the show, and have her explain it. But I don't know, maybe for next time.
And everybody did it.
And it was like a social event. No.
Okay, I was going to say, it sounds more like they just wanted you guys to go off and do something.
No, it was like aunts and uncles, and there were special ramps, and they were made of wood, and they had engraving on them. And like I remember, like you didn't touch the ramps during other parts of the year. Like they were in the closet, and you'd only brought them out for Easter. So we had Easter ramps or something. I have no idea.
All right. Well, we'll have to find out more about
my grandmother's looking down, disappointed right now that I do not know the appropriate.
All right. Well, before Easter, maybe we'll do another podcast so you can talk about why you rolled eggs.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. I don't know. And then I'll get a picture and we'll put a picture up to go with it, so it'll make more sense. But yeah, so we went to the store, we're looking at the eggs, and then just, the carts were full, right? So that's a good thing. though the economy is always going to be tough and inflation is always going to be a thing, the people's carts were full. The lines were long. It boggles the mind to think what an average family must spend on groceries.
I wonder what the average family does spend on groceries.
I don't know. You got a phone right there. You could look it up on Google.
Yeah, and it probably, I could. It probably varies by county or region, definitely by state.
Yeah. Check it out. See, it may mess up the microphone when you go to if you put it right next to the microphone, but we'll see what the old computer that makes phone calls has to say about that. So in our household, I think we budget $750 a month, and at least 50% of the time we go slightly over.
All right, this is October, so this is U.S. News Money.
Okay.
That seems somewhat reputable. Crap, it's going to take me a minute to
What did the AI thing say? Google now is whenever you put a question in, the AI just answers it for you right off the bat. I thought I saw some ridiculous number like 475. I'm like, these people aren't eating.
But I'm trying to find... Okay, for a thrifty budget for a family of 4, you'd spend $226.40 a week, $980.90 a month.
Yeah.
For a moderate family of 4, you'd spend $304 a week, $1,318 a month, and a liberal budget, $367.50 a week for a family of 4, $1,592 a month, and then that's the average family. And then let's see here. For instance, a moderate budget for a teenage boy, 14 to 18,
they're animals.
is $88.50 in groceries a week.
For one kid.
Yeah.
Wow.
For comparison's sake, a child 9 to 11, according to the USDA's moderate budget, would eat $76.30. So, wow, it went up over $30 for a teenage boy, which... I can personally say here lately we have more experience in that area, and boys do eat more than girls. Yeah. Well, I know that just from you and I, but especially with teenage boys, they can eat and eat and eat.
Oh, and that's the way I was when I was young too. I mean, your metabolism was so fast that you just pushed food in and it didn't matter, and you had energy all the time, and everything felt great and nothing hurt. I can promise you it doesn't last forever.
Nothing hurts on me.
Well,
I'm a little older than you, too.
You are? Not by much.
Yeah, not by much, but thank God I don't have aches and pains.
And I know.
That's why you got to stretch, exercise. I mean, I know you. I don't mean to imply you don't exercise, but you're not Gumby by any means.
No, I'm not.
Don't stretch a whole lot.
Not so much. I'm more of a mathlete than an athlete. But then too, you always wonder is like the cost of living down here in Florida is much lower than where I came from up in New York. That was too, is like even that grocery budget, even to them, is probably exponentially higher because of where they are. People at the higher end, California and New York and all those, and Connecticut. So I don't know. I don't know how people are doing it. I know that's the constant battle right now, and especially like on the local city level, all the employees are trying to get their new contracts with the new pay scales in it, with the new inflation numbers, and obviously through contract negotiations, it's not going as smoothly as everyone would like. But at the end of the day, you've got to pay bills this week. You have to buy groceries this week. I don't have 6 months to wait for this contract to get done. And that's where like there's the stretching is happening, and it's the people are cutting back. But we saw it today. We saw people with full shopping carts. We saw people, with long lines. So the money's moving.
Very long lines.
The money's moving. It's interesting how it moves now. So then, let's see, we are down.
I wanted to talk about, let me look here. No, we talked about the price of eggs. Oh, okay. So while we're on groceries, the differences between, our local grocery stores are Publix. Mm-hmm. You can get groceries at Super Target, Walmart Grocery, Aldi, and the vast price difference for something at Publix versus the other three.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is significant.
Yes.
And I know that Publix has, they have more customer service. It's a cleaner store. It's typically a bigger store.
It's a cult. It's a cult.
why do you think they can charge dollars, not cents, dollars more than some other grocers?
Because people are still paying it. I think that's what it is. I mean, they're constantly evaluating. So behind every grocery store, whichever one it was. So I worked for Winn-Dixie, I worked for BJ's, and then we did studies on Publix when I was with Winn-Dixie because there was such a disparity between the two, we couldn't catch up. We would sit there and we'd walk through the stores, and the simplest of things, the grocery stores are set up in such a way where the marketing happens as you pull up. Is the parking lot clean? Are the cart corrals in good shape? When you push a shopping cart at Walmart versus pushing a shopping cart at Publix, there's a difference.
The carts are all wonky.
Yeah, they're all wonky and covered
Walmart.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to. Well, I grab a wipe anyway, regardless of the store, but especially when I'm at Walmart, because you see some of the people coming out, and you're like, ooh.
Yeah. So that impression. So that's what starts it. And then when you get inside, look at the floor of a Publix. The floor of a Publix is that gray and white chip design, almost like a garage floor. And the thing is, if it's dirty, you can't tell. It always looks clean. So there was that. Winn-Dixie used to have those disgusting little square tiles. It begins with an L, not laminate. What's the 1970s kitchen floors made out of? Begin with an L. It was some kind of a laminate, basically.
I don't know.
So it would, you'd go on there, and then you couldn't keep them clean. You'd sweep and mop all day long, and you couldn't keep them clean. So, like, the floors were cleaner. They had twice as many lights. It was brighter in there. A Winn-Dixie was dark and dingy, and it was just, it looked dirty. So, not as good shopping carts, but, not as great parking lot. You start going in. So then, you feel like you're getting quality. Mm-hmm. That same box of Kraft macaroni and cheese is still the same box of Kraft macaroni and cheese at Walmart, but you don't have the wonky cart you're putting it into, and you don't, but now you're going to go in there. So there's people behind the scenes, the buyers are constantly evaluating product in and product out. Their job is to buy it at a low price, set it at a price point for the store, and they'll, even between Publixes, they'll change.
Right, but yes, that is true. And with Publix, though, and I get that the cost of everything is going up, but they also have a lot of self-checkout. And I've noticed they have not taken groceries or even offered to take your groceries out to the car.
No, they don't.
Probably since,
COVID.
COVID. But why not? They don't need as much help.
Right.
So it seems, because they have one person at 10 self-checkouts.
Right.
So if you need help now, it's not 10 cashiers, it's one. Mm-hmm. And then they're not offering to take your groceries out. Yes, their customer service is better. Yes, it's cleaner. I get all that. But many things are significantly more expensive.
Yes.
And
yep.
It just doesn't seem right to me.
No, it's not.
I'm acting old now, but I just think they shouldn't.
Well, but at the same token, though, everyone's in business to make money, right? So the only thing that stops them from keeping those prices high is the customer.
Yeah, well, and
it's the customer.
I think their produce, their meat, their bakery is far superior than anywhere else, and we do get all of those things there. The dairy, produce, deli, meat, and what else do we get there?
It's all the fresh goods.
Yeah.
It's all the fresh goods. And as time has gone by, Aldi is really doing a great job with trying to keep up with the grocery side of things.
Everything there, though, it's not bad.
Off.
I'm not saying,
it's one off.
What do you say?
It's four Musketeers and Skittles is in your candy aisle. It's not quite three Musketeers. It's four Musketeers, and it's not Skittles. It's Skittles, but it's all quite. I mean, I bought French bread pizza from there yesterday and had that for dinner. It was fantastic. $2.75 for 2 6-inch pieces of French bread pepperoni pizza. I mean, you can't get
cheaper than a school lunch.
It really is. It was quite good. So they do a lot of good jobs with that on the shelf, and their frozen stuff's pretty good. I don't know if I'd go for their meat yet. There's a lot of stuff there's not quite right. But
and maybe their meat is good. I'm not willing to take a chance.
No,
yet.
I don't want to get
Maybe
sick.
if I had a bunch of friends who were like, no, we've cooked it and it's fine, but I'll pay extra and get it.
And as much as I might complain about the city and all that stuff, that we have a fairly affluent population that, it has the money to be able to continue shopping at Publix. We saw a Lamborghini going up and down the road today, and they're not the nicest roads by any stretch of the imagination. But yes, green Lamborghinis going up and down the road. I'm like, okay, there's people with money here, and they're going to shop at Publix. You're not going to see the green Lamborghini pulling into Walmart. So I think that's got a lot to do with it. But no, that until the customer decides that they're not going to deal with that anymore, that will never end. And then all they have to do is just keep it close. They just got to keep that profit margin where they can continue paying all the bills. And I mean, we can get into a whole thing with Publix being unique because it's a privately owned company. It's not public. They have profit sharing for their employees. That's significant. If you spend,
I just have to jump in because the thought popped in my head. I loved the black and white cookies they had there when they used to frost them and make them in the store.
Right.
And now they're like shipped in, which I can't stand.
Everything is shipped in.
Right. And they call them, they're still a bakery and they still bake some things, but not most things.
No.
Most of them are
They do bread.
prepackaged.
They bake bread.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
the
that-
dough comes in prepackaged. It's just throw the dough in the rack, put the rack in the oven, and off you go.
So they do have a good bakery, and I personally love their cupcakes, as we know, but I wish they made more things fresh.
Yeah.
So, but I also like lady cakes.
And that's the thing. And that's where it's up to us as the consumer to make those choices, is to sit there and support the mom and pop shops and support the lady cakes versus the Publix and the farmer's market. And yes, you go to a farmer's market, I know that they have the little stickers on the produce like they would everywhere else, but at some token, they've cut out a middleman or two. So the prices are going to be significantly better. It's quality produce, and I feel like you're actually helping a person instead of a corporation.
And something else, going back to the eggs. Yeah. I don't know the answer to this. Why when you get fresh eggs, like if you went and bought them from someone who has chickens, they're not cold. They don't put them in the refrigerator. But when you go to Publix, they're always in the cold section. They're not just eggs down an aisle.
That is good. You know what? I don't know. I should know the answer to that, and I don't.
Yeah,
it's got to have something to do with spoiling and shelf life. Yeah. It's got to have something to do with that.
I'm going to have to look that up, too.
Well, I mean, but think of it. When's the last time you've really seen farm fresh eggs? Farm fresh eggs are all different colors and all that stuff. Yeah. Eggs you get at the grocery store are all white or one color brown, or they're all colored the same. And I don't think that's a thing. When it falls out of the chicken's ass, it just comes out.
Its ass?
Well, you know.
Oh. I don't know what eggs you're eating.
They're all really bad. They all taste like shit. But they all...
Is that a pun? You said it fell out of their ass?
Yeah.
Let me see. Why do you refrigerate eggs? Let's see. This is AI. To reduce the risk of salmonella contamination and to preserve their quality.
Yeah.
And then let's see. Let me find some answer that seems reputable. Let's go with Women's Health Mag. Okay, it says, don't panic. It's totally normal for places not to refrigerate their eggs, but it doesn't mean you can skip refrigerating your eggs here in the States. All right, but why? Okay.
American eggs must have steroids in them.
It says, eggs can carry a nasty little bacteria called salmonella. It is the most common cause of food poisoning in the U.S. But why doesn't it go on Sally's eggs that her chicken laid?
I don't know. Maybe it does. Or I just think if it's on the local level, like if you have a chicken, it's only making enough eggs for you to eat for your family, and that's pretty much about it. I don't know.
I'm still looking. Sorry, I should have looked this up before. Or you know what? I'll come back to it. It's fine. Yeah. We can go on.
We'll go on to your next topic.
Yeah. Well, it's 29 minutes, so I say we pick a small one.
Small one. What?
A short topic.
Oh.
Can't do everything in one night.
All right.
Got to have people come back.
We were talking about cutting costs, and then you had a really great idea for cutting costs, and then obviously President Trump and all his new cabinet is going through, and
we could do that next time.
The other one, okay.
Unless you really want to.
No, that was just what's next on the list.
All right, go ahead. We'll do that, and that'll be the last one.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Because then the other two things you had.
So am I talking about that one?
Well,
I'll get it started, I guess.
No, I can. We'll segue you into it. So you were talking about cutting costs. Donald Trump goes through with his cabinet, and they're talking about cutting costs. And one of the things that's been discussed and has been implemented slowly over time is changing in the United States mail system. So that was your idea. If you like, this is your platform. Go ahead and go.
Sorry, I was just checking to make sure we didn't get that text. So I know why we get mail Monday through Saturday, but in this day and age, I don't think we need postal mail 6 days a week.
No, you don't.
I think that's not a waste of money, but I think times have changed. Things have evolved. We have all different ways of communicating. Snail mail isn't the only one. And why? I'm not saying that we want to not have postal workers, but if they did their routes differently, maybe mail is 3 days a week instead of 6. And then instead of 2 postal carriers, you need 1 because they do 3 days and 3 days. Instead of 1 person does 6 days.
How much, what's the word I'm looking for? Not augmentation, but like, okay, so when you order something on Amazon, sometimes the United States Postal Service brings it.
Right. And
because I think because they're so busy, they can't keep up. They're spilling over into the United States Postal Service. That's my assumption.
Yeah, that is true because most of the time Amazon is like their own drivers. Then every now and then, do we get anything? I don't think it comes by UPS at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, no. I tell you what. UPS brings specific things I'll order from a company. Laser Ship is specific items from a certain company. But Amazon will spill over into the postal service, so maybe that has something to do with it too. Where if they're going to adopt all of the spillover Amazon, maybe that fills in. Maybe that fills in those gaps that we're looking at that we may not understand.
Yeah, I just think with Trump looking at all of the government jobs, which I think is great and will be impactful because most places can afford to not just the government, but not cut corners, but make improvements, be more efficient. And I definitely think the U.S. government is one of those places. And if I had a job like that, I'm sure I wouldn't want to lose my job with multiple holidays, making a decent wage, being off quite a bit. And I know they're accountable and they do work, but I guess the joke is always government work is not as hard as...
Well, and obviously I work for the government, right? So, but at the lower local level, and what they've always told us is that you're never going to make the home run in salary, but you'll make it in the benefits.
Yeah.
So it's like, my career obviously will be shorter. I'll have a retirement benefit that not normal people have. So like that's the sacrifice really is that
right.
You don't...
But I'd like to have Social Security when I need to retire. So if that means now looking at, do we need 5 people doing this job or could we be more efficient and maybe have 4 and do that over and over and over again? I don't want to see anyone lose their job, but I also am all about efficiency.
Well, then the counter argument to that would be is those people that you just let go also paid into Social Security. So,
yeah, and they'll still get Social Security.
But no, but they were still paying in while they were working. I think that's the idea, right? You need to have people continue paying in for there to be a benefit.
Right, but also when tell me if I've got this right. When you're a government worker, you get some type, not you, but federal employees get some type of, I don't know if it's called a pension plan or what exactly it's called, but it's not Social Security. They get money from...
Right. Now that just ended 2 months ago. So they used to have what was called the Windfall Provision Act, right? So they would get a pension, then they would have a Social Security number, then they would hedge out that Social Security number against the pension that they got. So they got less and all this other stuff. They just did away with that. And over the next year or two, they're going to make right, I guess, all of these people who've been paying into the plan all these years who weren't going to get the full benefit back are going to get that benefit. So there's going to be a cost that comes with that, and this is where the plan is fragile. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but with most Ponzi schemes, it really doesn't. You're paying out a number of money that you only have so much of in the bank. You've promised benefits of more of the money that you have, so you have to have the people more behind you continue paying in to keep making the payments up front. At some point, either it collapses in on itself, or you can catch up and make right on it. So what ends up happening is where look at our parents versus our grandparents versus us. The retirement age is different.
It's getting
right.
More
so honestly, for B, do not be surprised if they take B's
75
and they'll make it. Well, our early is 62, normal is 67, late is 70 for us. Don't be surprised if they say, okay, early 65, just taking it 3 years. There's a savings that goes to that because there's 3 more years people are going to pay in and not get paid out. It ends up more of solidifying the plan. The hard part is, but at least where the president should be going in and looking at all the efficiencies to say, okay, are we using this money appropriately? Is it invested appropriately? Is it doing what it's supposed to do? Yes, no, I don't even know what the answer is. But as long as somebody looks at it, for the love of God, somebody needs to at least look at it and be honest.
Right.
Hey, this
Hold people
program
accountable.
sucks. Here's what are we going to do? So.
And it should be that way in every job. But
Yeah.
the government seems to be the ones where there's more fluff, I'll call it.
They're held to different standards that seem to be looser than in the private sector, where in the private sector it's more cutthroat. And I guess the way I would explain it is that people in the private sector are expendable and they're just a number on paper. Where if you get into a government job, you've really got to screw up to lose that government job. Or like back when
which is a good thing,
Right, sure.
the private sector could
to an extent
learn from that a little more.
But then, like, if you look at, like, the older generation, when they would work for, like, Chevy and Ford, they would work 40 years and have their pension, and that was their retirement.
Never leave.
And they'd never leave. But now they don't do that. Like, Ford cut their pensions back huge. GM cut their pensions back. I mean, people were selling and buying car companies like crazy. So it's interesting to watch all these different puzzle pieces fit and not fit together to kind of see where the future is going to go. But, just looking at something as simple as, do you have to deliver mail every day? Maybe not.
I say no.
Yeah, I have email. I pay 99% of the bills with electronically.
Well, that'll be the next thing, making us pay for
Email.
10 cents an email or something.
Oh, yeah.
Well, but that would probably alleviate a lot of the spam mail.
Maybe.
That would be nice.
Yeah. I don't know. So vote Laurie 2026, and then we'll vote you in.
I don't
Making
know about
changes.
that, but okay.
Start at the local level. We need some new local
Yeah, I'd
leaders.
have to run first, and I've got opinions, but I'm not looking to be in politics.
This
Oh, yeah.
episode of the Very
Oh, speaking of paying bills, hey, let's run the commercials real quick because
Okay.
we forgot to do
Sounds
that.
good.
South Florida lift stations. For all your lift station sales, service, and maintenance needs, call Josh at 239-707-3603. South Florida Lift Stations, the official sponsor of the Very Terrible Podcast. The Very Terrible Podcast can be found on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, YouTube, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If you'd like to be a sponsor of the Very Terrible Podcast, you can message us on Facebook, Instagram, or email us at jdvtpodcast@gmail.com. This episode of the Very Terrible Podcast is brought to you by...
We're back.
And as always, thanks to South Florida Lift Stations for their continued support of this little dream of mine. And thank you so much for joining me again today and doing always excellent work.
I
You
try.
do better by accident than I do on purpose. It's amazing.
Yeah, I have yet to practice. I knew a couple of the topics simply because I helped
discussed
think
them
of
at lunch.
but
Yeah.
not because I
No.
know how to run a podcast or come up with ideas or anything.
Me
I
either.
just said at lunch,
Me
hey,
either.
let's come up with a couple of things that I felt like comfortable for me to talk about
Yeah.
that I could actually
And we saved some for next time too.
Yeah.
And then we're doing really good. Like I think we did it like 2 weeks ago, and now it's this. I mean, this
You're
is.
welcome.
I'm telling you, it's cranking them right out, one after the
I'm
other.
I'm trying to be a supportive wife.
Bunch of, you are doing a fantastic job. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us again today on the Very Terrible Podcast. Happy Valentine's Day to you, and happy President's Day on the next weekend. Let's see, I'll hit this one. I'm Jason,
And I'm Laurie.
and this has been a Very Terrible Podcast. Health, wealth, and happiness. Goodbye.
Bye.